Robert Scott Bell Show.
Scott Bell Show.
You have 20 seconds to comply.
What is that? Who just came in the studio, Don? What is that?
You now have 15 seconds to comply.
15 seconds?
You're in direct violation of Penal Code 113, Section 9. You now have 5 seconds.
What did you comply? Why are they counting down?
Robert, I believe this is the Department of Agriculture.
Oh, no, not down. They're dangerous. Why would the Department of Agriculture want you to comply? You may not be a pig farmer and you think you're safe. The Department of Agriculture is not going to come after you. You may not be a beekeeper, right? And the beekeepers are worried a little bit because the Department of Agriculture might come after them. But what if you're a mom who simply wants to feed her food to the kids, feed the food to the kids that is wholesome, unprocessed, unpasteurized, for instance, and wants to deal with a farmer directly? Should you be worried? Well, if you're in Minnesota, you might need to be, and we've got Melinda Olson right now on, and Liz Reitzig, her, my dear friend up there with the Raw Milk Freedom Riders, tipped me off to this. The Minnesota Department of Agriculture is going after threatening moms with criminal charges for openly defying the Minnesota Department of Agriculture. Melinda, what did you do?
I made some space available in my home for friends of mine to pick up products from the farmer of their choice.
Really? This sounds like a huge criminal enterprise of some kind.
That sounds like terrorism to me.
Oh my God, Melinda, man, this is almost too bizarre. Although we've been covering bizarre stories now for a while on the Robert Scott Bell Show, where beekeepers are under assault, raw milk farmers. We've talked about people that plant gardens in their front yard, people that want to protect their kids from back. But the Minnesota Department of Agriculture is concerned because you have allowed space to be used in your home for other families to come and pick up food from a farmer.
That's right.
So did they write a letter to you? Did they call up? Did they visit you with a SWAT team? Tell us what happened.
Well, I do have friends that have been visited by armed officers because they participated in the same way. They offered their home in the same way that I have. But myself, I received a page-and-a-half letter citing several Minnesota statutes and threatening me with criminal administrative penalties, criminal prosecution, or other enforcement remedies available to the MDA. That's the Minnesota Department of Agriculture.
Other enforcement, does that mean jail time?
At this point, I have not dialogued with them. I don't know if they would incarcerate me for offering space in my home.
Now, are they saying you need some sort of special license or a fee that you have to give them to be able to allow your home to be used as a pickup point?
The evidence that they have gathered against me, they say that I am selling, but that's not accurate. I'm not selling. So they're telling me that I need to cease and desist. Should I continue to sell or distribute? But I'm not doing either of those things.
Well, under the statutes, they might say distribute is, even if you're not selling something, they want you to have to get a license or get inspected. I mean, literally, they want every aspect of our lives now, not only on the federal level, but now on the state level in Minnesota. Where's Governor Jesse Ventura when you need him? He would not stand for this.
I'm just reading part of the letter, and it does say that if you'd like assistance concerning licensing or any additional food safety and facility requirements, they have given me a phone number.
So let me see if I understand this correctly. There's a farmer or more than one farmer that will bring food to your house, and then other people will come to your house and pick the food up and take it home. This is what they're saying you're guilty of doing?
Correct. That's right.
What?
I'm trying to find the crime in this. Are you finding anything in this?
No, I'm really struggling. The only thing, if Minnesota seceded to become part of North Korea, I was aware of that. Is that happening, Melinda?
Well, I do think that they have maybe the idea is our safety in mind, and maybe there's some motive to protect us. But I don't see that it's in my best interest or to my family's benefit to prevent me from having a personal relationship with a farmer of my choice.
Here comes the government once again, whether it's on a federal level or a state level, that is jumping in to protect you from yourself. Like we need them to do that, right?
Yeah, well, it seems to me that, you're giving them a lot of credit that they don't deserve if they're saying, well, we just want to protect the public. Because what is it, the capability of an adult in Minnesota to say, hey, listen, I know the farmer. I've made an arrangement with the farmer. Hey, and my friend Melinda said I can come over to her house to pick it up. Now we have to get permission of the government that would be okay. What are they, our mommy and daddy? Melinda, don't you already have a mommy and daddy?
That's right. And if you take this to its logical conclusion, it prevents me from being able to go to the grocery store and pick up food for a friend who is sick or perhaps can't, make it themselves. Then am I a criminal if I participate in that activity? But by these standards, I guess I would be.
Well, that's interesting. Have you written back or called them back and say, hey, I'm going down to the local, what's your big grocery store up there, Rainbow or something?
We have Rainbow, we have Cub. There's several big box
Okay,
stores.
so I go to one of those big box. I'm going to go there and I'm going to bring it to my home because my friends don't have time to get out there, and I'm going to do them a favor. And I'm not selling. I'm just going to ask them to pay me back for whatever I paid. But was that a crime? Did you ask them if something like that would be a crime too? Because if that's the case, a lot of people are guilty.
Right. I haven't reached out to them yet, although I do feel strongly that I'm not guilty of anything that they've accused me of in this letter.
Are you retaining counsel? Do you have the food and farm freedom groups coming to your defense at this point? Or is this so new that you're just trying to figure out what's happening here?
I think the next step for us is to participate in the rally in Minnesota that is a food freedom rally, and at that point make a public statement that I won't comply with regulations that interfere with my ability to make a free choice, my right to make free choice to feed my family foods from a farmer of my choice. So public display, in terms of a rally and standing up and saying that this is what I think is right and I'm going to continue doing that is the next step.
God.
As far as litigation and communicating with the Department of Agriculture, we haven't taken those steps yet, but are considering them.
Well, God bless you, Melinda. I love you. I'm so appreciative of you. Is your husband standing behind you on this as well?
Absolutely.
Oh, hallelujah. This is the kind of thing that we need to do, is stand up against tyranny, food tyranny, on the state level, on whatever level it happens here. And here's a classic example of a mom that's trying to take care of her family and help out her friends and community being criminalized potentially for simply doing what we have done for hundreds, if not thousands of years, bringing food into a common area and allowing others to pick it up. No economic considerations are taking place, but in my opinion, even if they were, it's none of their business. I know that they want to involve themselves economically and gain money through licensure anywhere and everywhere they can. It's disgusting to me that they are taking this on and taking you on and trying, or attempting at least, to criminalize you. Now, May 14th at 7 a.m., early risers, Monday, May 14th, 7 a.m., a week from yesterday. This is going to be going on outside the Minneapolis courthouse, where supporters will sign a declaration of food independence and demonstrate non-compliance. We will not comply against what they deem unjust regulations. And, of course, the regulations don't even apply to you. You're not engaged in any economic activity.
That's right. And I have to ask myself, who's being harmed here? Generally, when you have an investigation and there's quote-unquote evidence, there's a harmed party or a victim or a wronged person. And at this point, I'm asking myself, who has been harmed? Who's a victim in this situation? And so far, there's no one except perhaps people, corporations who will see a reduction. But I can't find a victim here to justify criminal penalization of my actions.
Now, Super Don, remember when I was talking about courts of equity, admiralty, legislative laws and things? This is what they're doing. They're saying Melinda is an artificial creation of the state. She's a mere corporation, but the corporations that want to get defense from this corporation, well, Melinda is not a corporation in my opinion. She's a human being, a wonderful one, a mom. And yet they are dehumanizing her in order to say, you have to comply. You're a machine in our cog, in our wheel, in our machine, in our bigger machine. And we need you to comply with us because you're potentially cutting into the profits of these so-called agribusiness farms, etc. We can't have you going outside of that. Here's a case in point, Melinda, where they're literally trying to tell you are something that you are not.
Right. And when I look at this letter, again, I go back to, I think of myself as a mom, and I will not let anyone come between myself and the right that I have to choose healthy, wholesome food for my family.
Yeah. Don't mess with moms.
No, the moms are the ones that are going to save us and restore the republic at this point, seeing what Melinda Olson is doing here after they've basically accused her of a non-crime and, in fact, put her in a position to be regulated, whereas she has no interest in participating. So it's deny, 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 do not comply, do not comply, do not comply. It is time to stand up and say, I declare who I am. You cannot tell me who I am, because that is not who I am. And that's what they're trying to do, is pretend you are something that you are not, Melinda.
Right. And I retain the right to say, this is what I'm going to do for my family. This is the choice I'm going to make. I've made deliberate, thoughtful choices, and I don't need anyone telling me that those choices aren't appropriate or coming between me and my farmer because they want to decide what those choices should or shouldn't be for my family.
Yeah, we lost one of the guys from the Beastie Boys recently, and they had a song, "We got to fight for our right to party." We got to fight for our right to feed our families now. I mean, this is insane what's happening, Melinda. You're in the middle of another maelstrom here, and we are going to see it through. I want to thank Liz Reitzig for connecting us on this issue, and I want to stay in touch as this continues to evolve. The Farm Food Freedom Coalition is actively engaged in this as well. Stand up if you want to stand with Melinda Olson and other families there in Minnesota, Monday, May 14th, 7 a.m. outside the Minneapolis courthouse. You're going to rally for a declaration of food independence, and Minnesota can kiss. I'm not going to go there. I'm sorry.
Family-friendly show.
That's
Robert.
right. Yes. Well, sometimes we got to be a little bold in our defense of our families here. Melinda, I greatly appreciate you standing up for what is right here. I hope that we can talk again after leading up to the event next Monday, but certainly afterwards to find out how things are going. Did they give you a deadline real quick that you had to reply by?
I understand that I have a 30-day window to reply. All
right. So take your time, deep breath, stand strong, and I know you will. Make sure you respond appropriately, that the denial is in place, because they have to prove that which is a fiction. And they cannot do so as long as you refuse to acknowledge that that is what you are or what you do. And that is the artificial creation of a Melinda Olson that is not a super mom and not a family mom. But in fact, you are that, and maintain that status and defend that status. And we'll be here for you as well. Okay. Thank you very much, Robert. Thank you, Melinda Olson. We greatly appreciate all the links to the story are up. Check it out online at robertscottbell.com. Hey, Don, this story is absolutely incredible, and it's growing all over the country. We see these departments of agriculture hitting on moms, and I'm not in that way, but you know what I mean?
No, it's blowing my mind. It's absolutely blowing my mind, seeing story after story. We'll have to go over this in the next segment.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because
we got to take a break.
It's crazy.
All right, well, we will not comply, and resistance is not futile. So this is the Robert Scott Bell Show, where we remind you simply that the power to heal is yours.
The Robert Scott Bell Show.